Somebody needs to hear this today. You're not stuck, you're being set up. You're not forgotten, you're being formed. What you're going through isn't proof that God has left you, it's proof that He's preparing you. Because this thing you're facing, it's a faith thing. Faith is the foundation of every breakthrough because it is the driving force behind transformation, elevation, and manifestation. Every great achievement, every significant shift, and every divine move in your life begins with faith. It is not merely a concept or a passive belief. It is the force that moves mountains, opens doors, and brings the unseen into reality. Without faith, you remain stuck in the limitations of what is logical, predictable, and tangible. But when you step into faith, you enter into a realm where impossibilities bow, obstacles become stepping stones, and what seemed unreachable suddenly comes within your grasp. Faith is not just about hoping for the best. It is about knowing that something greater is already set in motion, even when you can't see the evidence yet. It is the ability to walk into the unknown with confidence, understanding that the absence of proof is not the absence of promise. Many people wait for everything to be in place before they move, but faith moves before the pieces come together. Faith says, I will build even though I don't see the blueprint. I will step forward even though I don't see the ground beneath me. Faith refuses to be controlled by circumstances because it understands that circumstances are subject to change, but the power of God is unshakable. Breakthroughs do not come to those who sit in hesitation, doubting whether the time is right or the conditions are favorable. They come to those who dare to believe beyond their current reality. Think about every major success story, every testimony of transformation. Behind every victory, there was someone who believed before the results showed up. There was someone who prayed when nothing seemed to be changing. Someone who worked when there was no guarantee of success. Someone who kept going when everything in their life screamed, quit. That is the power of faith. It sustains you in the waiting season and empowers you to push beyond the barriers that try to keep you bound. Faith is the difference between those who dream and those who achieve. It separates those who live in regret from those who step into destiny. It does not mean that you will never face challenges, but it means that when the challenges come, they will not shake you out of position. Faith gives you the endurance to hold on when others give up. It gives you the strength to keep building when the storm is raging, because you know that what you are constructing is greater than the opposition against you. When you embrace faith, you become unstoppable. You no longer operate from a place of fear, insecurity, or doubt. You begin to walk with a boldness that defies logic, a confidence that confuses the enemy, and a persistence that guarantees your breakthrough. Faith does not ask for permission. It declares victory before the battle is won. And when you live by faith, you don't just hope for a breakthrough, you expect it, because faith is the foundation. And with the right foundation, breakthrough is inevitable. Faith doesn't wait for evidence, because faith itself is the evidence. It doesn't require proof, confirmation, or validation to move. Faith acts in the absence of visible results, trusting that what is unseen is more real than what is seen. When you operate in faith, you step out before the path is clear, speak before the matter. Faith is not about waiting for things to line up perfectly. It's about moving forward even when everything around you suggests you shouldn't. One of the greatest mistakes people make is waiting for circumstances to change before they believe. They want to see progress before they take action. They want to see growth before they invest. They want to see doors open before they knock. But faith doesn't work that way. Faith moves first. Faith speaks first. Faith believes first. When you truly walk in faith, you don't wait for the evidence to show up before you trust that it's already done. You move as if it's already settled, because in the spiritual realm it is. When you look at the lives of those who have done the impossible, you will find one common thread. They moved before there was evidence. Noah built the ark before there was rain. Abraham left his homeland before he knew where he was going. David ran toward Goliath before he had the victory in hand. Every great story of triumph begins with someone who had the courage to act on faith, even when there was no sign of success. They didn't wait for perfect conditions, because faith doesn't need conditions to be perfect. It just needs a heart that is willing to trust. Too many people delay their destiny because they are waiting for proof that things will work out. They say, I'll start the business when I have more money. I'll step into my calling when I feel ready. I'll take that leap when I have more support. But faith doesn't wait for the money to be in the account, the opportunities to be obvious, or the people to applaud. Faith says, I'm going now. I'm stepping out now. I'm trusting now. If you wait for evidence, you will always be behind. You will always be reacting instead of initiating. You will always be walking in hesitation instead of boldness. Faith challenges you to believe beyond what you can measure. It demands that you walk in expectation, even when your situation looks opposite to what you're believing for. The greatest miracles happen when people refuse to be controlled by what they see and instead choose to be led by what they know in their spirit. That's the kind of faith that moves mountains. That's the kind of faith that brings breakthroughs. That's the kind of faith that unlocks doors no man can shut. Faith doesn't wait for evidence. Faith is the evidence. And when you live by that kind of faith, the evidence will always follow. Faith is tested in the dark because it is in the absence of light that true belief is revealed. It's easy to have faith when everything is going well, when the path is clear, and when life feels secure. But faith is not proven in comfort, it is proven in crisis. It is in the moments of uncertainty, struggle, and waiting that faith is stretched, refined, and strengthened. The dark seasons of life are where faith either stands firm or falls apart. It is where you discover whether you truly believe or if you were only believing because everything was going your way. Darkness represents the unknown. It represents those seasons where prayers seem unanswered, direction feels unclear, and everything around you is shouting doubt and fear. It is in these moments that many people start questioning everything, questioning their purpose, their decisions, and even whether God is still with them. But faith is not about what you feel, it's about what you know. And what you know has to be stronger than what you see. When you are in the dark, faith teaches you how to trust without clarity, how to move without confirmation, and how to believe without evidence. The greatest breakthroughs happen in the lives of those who refuse to let the dark determine their destiny. They hold on when everything says let go. They keep speaking life when all they hear is silence. They keep walking forward when the road is invisible. Faith is the anchor that holds you when the storm is raging, the light that guides you when everything else fades. The testing of faith in the dark is not meant to break you, it is meant to build you. It is in the dark that God develops you, matures you, and strengthens your trust in Him. If faith was never tested, it would never grow. If you never had to believe through difficulty, you would never experience the power of overcoming. The dark seasons are where your character is shaped, your endurance is built, and your reliance on God is deepened. You learn how to walk by faith, not by sight, because in the dark, sight is not an option. Many people miss their breakthrough because they give up in the dark. They stop believing when things get hard. They stop praying when answers are delayed. They stop moving forward because they can't see the outcome. But if you can trust God in the dark, you will see Him move in ways you never imagined. The darkness is not a sign that you are abandoned. It is often a sign that you are being prepared for something greater. Faith is not about avoiding the dark, it's about enduring it with confidence, knowing that on the other side there is light, there is victory, and there is breakthrough. Faith is tested in the dark, and those who refuse to quit will emerge stronger, wiser, and ready for the promise that awaits them. Faith over fear is a decision, a choice to believe in the unseen promises of God rather than the visible challenges in front of you. Fear will always be present, whispering doubts, magnifying obstacles, and trying to convince you that you are not capable, not worthy, or not ready. But faith speaks louder. Faith declares that no matter what the situation looks like, there is something greater at work. Faith says, I don't have to feel courageous to move forward. I just have to trust that God is with me. Fear and faith cannot operate in the same space. One will always dominate the other. Fear paralyzes, but faith activates. Fear keeps you trapped in hesitation, but faith propels you into action. Fear makes you focus on what could go wrong, but faith fixes your eyes on what is possible. The battle between faith and fear is fought in the mind, in the heart, and in the decisions you make every day. Every time you choose faith, you weaken fear's grip. Every time you move forward despite uncertainty, you silence fear's voice. Fear will try to convince you that you are not ready. It will tell you to wait until the conditions are perfect, until the resources are lined up, until you feel completely confident. But faith says, step out now. Faith understands that confidence doesn't come before the action. It comes because of the action. You don't have to see the whole staircase to take the first step. You don't have to know every detail of how things will unfold to trust that they will. Fear demands certainty, but faith thrives in the unknown. Fear will also try to remind you of past failures. It will point to moments when things didn't work out and use them as proof that you should not try again. But faith refuses to be defined by the past. Faith recognizes that every failure was a lesson, every setback was a setup, and every delay was preparation for something greater. Faith is not blind optimism, it is a deep, unshakable confidence that even when things don't make sense, God is still in control. Living by faith does not mean fear will never knock at your door. It will. But when it does, faith answers. Faith stands firm and says, I will not be moved. Faith is what makes you keep going when everything in you wants to stop. It is what pushes you forward when fear tries to hold you back. The moment you choose faith over fear, you shift from being controlled by circumstances to being led by purpose. You step out of hesitation and into destiny. You move from wondering what if to declaring even if. When fear says, what if you fail? Faith responds, what if I succeed? When fear says you're not strong enough, faith declares, I can do all things. Fear may come, but it does not have to win. Faith is the key to overcoming, to stepping forward, and to unlocking every promise that is waiting for you. Faith requires action, because faith without movement is just wishful thinking. It is not enough to simply believe something, you must do something. Faith is more than just an internal conviction, it is an external demonstration. If you say you believe in a vision, but you never take a step toward it, that is not faith. If you trust that doors will open, but faith is not passive, it is aggressive. It pushes forward even when the way is unclear. It takes risks. It steps out, and it refuses to sit still while waiting for things to happen. Many people are stuck, not because they lack belief, but because they refuse to move. They are waiting for signs, waiting for confirmation, waiting for conditions to be perfect. But faith does not wait, it walks. Faith does not stand still, it moves forward. When Peter saw Jesus walking on water, he had a choice. He could have believed from the safety of the boat, but faith required him to step out. It was not until he put his foot on the water that the miracle happened. If you are waiting for everything to align before you act, you are not operating in faith, you are operating in fear. Faith demands that you participate in what you are believing for. If you are praying for a new opportunity, faith requires you to prepare for it. If you are believing for a breakthrough, faith requires you to position yourself for it. You cannot ask for doors to open and then refuse to walk through them when they do. You cannot pray for increase, but refuse to put in the work. Faith and action must go together. If you believe God has called you to something, you must start moving toward it, even if you don't have all the details yet. Fear tells you to wait until everything makes sense, but faith says, move now. The greatest breakthroughs happen for those who are willing to act on what they believe. The woman with the issue of blood in the Bible was not healed because she simply believed. She was healed because she pressed through the crowd and reached out. The walls of Jericho did not fall because the Israelites hoped they would. They fell because every great move of God required action. Faith demands that you show up even when you don't feel ready. It demands that you put in the work even when you don't see results yet. It demands that you move forward, even when fear tells you to stay where you are. Faith requires boldness. It requires stepping beyond your comfort zone. It requires speaking, moving, and acting in alignment with what you believe. If you want to see the promises of God manifest in your life, you cannot just sit back and wait. You must rise up, step out, and put your faith into motion, because faith without action is dead. Faith transforms your future because it shifts the way you think, the way you move, and the way you see the world. It is not just a belief system, it is a force that shapes your destiny. When you walk in faith, you no longer live according to limitations, you live according to possibilities. You no longer make decisions based on fear, you make them based on purpose. Faith moves you from being a spectator in life to being an active participant in your own breakthrough. It gives you the boldness to step into the unknown, knowing that even if you can't see the full picture, the one who holds your future can. Your future is not determined by where you came from, what you have, or what people say about you. It is determined by what you believe and what you are willing to act on. Faith causes you to see beyond your current situation and press towards something greater. It refuses to let you settle in the land of mediocrity because it knows there is more. It stretches you, challenges you, and pushes you to walk in the fullness of your potential. Without faith, you will always play it safe. You will remain stuck in cycles of doubt, second-guessing every move, waiting for perfect conditions that will never come. But when faith takes over, you start moving differently. You start expecting more, dreaming bigger, and positioning yourself for the opportunities ahead. Faith transforms your future by shifting your mindset. Instead of seeing obstacles, you start seeing opportunities. Instead of focusing on what's missing, you start focusing on what's possible. Instead of dwelling on past failures, you begin to anticipate future victories. Faith does not deny reality, but it refuses to be controlled by it. It acknowledges the facts, but declares that the facts do not have the final say. Just because things have been a certain way does not mean they have to stay that way. Faith declares that change is possible, that doors can open, that new beginnings are still available. Faith also transforms your decisions. The choices you make today determine the future you will walk into. Faith pushes you to make decisions that align with where you are going, not just where you are now. It causes you to step out when others stay back, to invest when others retreat, to believe when others doubt. When you walk in faith, you no longer settle for what is easy. You go after what is extraordinary. You no longer allow fear to dictate your steps because faith has given you a vision greater than your excuses. The future belongs to those who dare to believe, those who refuse to let setbacks define them, those who are willing to take risks, endure challenges, and trust in something greater than themselves. Faith does not just prepare you for the future, it creates your future. The life you are building is a result of the faith you carry. And when you truly walk by faith, there is no limit to what your future can become.